Hello.
Hi everyone. We are still waiting for people to join. It always takes a couple of minutes, and until people have joined, once you have joined, you can just immediately ask any questions
In the chat.
in the chat. Exactly. Until there are people, one has been joining. Very glad about it. Just ask your questions. But we just want you to know we are still figuring out if there's enough interest for these live streams. We are currently thinking about it if we actually keep doing them, continue doing them. And the reason is because we are wondering why there's little participation, and we're not quite sure why. Is it maybe because of the time zone, which can really well be, or maybe it's just not as highly requested as the German live stream, because the German live stream on my other channel is it's a big difference in terms of participation. And so we're still wondering what to do. And
Or
so
is it because our English accent is so bad?
yeah. Hey, don't make fun of anyone. We are not perfect. So we would love your help in this, and you can help by just precisely writing into the comments what the reason is why you can or don't want to join. Like, it's completely fine if you just say I don't need it. That's great for us to know, because that's how we can.
And if you're watching this live stream later, or even if you're watching it live right now, also write in the comments from which country you are watching it.
Exactly.
And preferably also your time zone. I mean, for the US, for example, there are a few time zones. So it would be really helpful for us to know like which time zone you're located at.
Yes.
So
because the analytics, they actually, you can do a lot of stuff, and we know that quite a few people come from the United States, but the United States are vast and big, and so the time zones can be very different. And we will do a lot to make the stream happen, but not everything. Like, we will not do it in the night at 3 a.m. So that's a bit difficult. But let us know the state where you're from, or where you're from. Like, we just would like to know anyone who's interested in the live streams and you would like to do the live streams. Let us know where you're from, so we can get further there. Yes, and maybe adjust the time in some way. Okie dokie. So for today, until there are no questions, which so far we rarely had any questions in the English live stream, we can talk about which aspect would you like to go into? We have the topic of the fear of not having enough, which I struggled with very much, and it basically trickled into every area of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Which sounds dramatic, and it is dramatic.
Yeah, so the connecting dot here is our background.
Exactly.
Because compared to the other live streams we did so far, the background today is different. And the reason for that is that we are in a different room right now.
Yeah.
Still in our flat, but in a different room. And we very recently, yesterday, we had the chance to get into this room again. So the story behind is that for, I don't know, we didn't look it up before, like 3 to 4 years, the last 3 to 4 years, we rented out one of the rooms in our tiny flat. So we have a tiny flat with 2 rooms, a separate kitchen, a separate bathroom.
Yes.
And one of those rooms we rented out because we kind of felt like, okay, let's do a little bit like a little experiment and see if we could live in the tiny house, because that always was a dream of ours.
Yeah, it always inspired us. And we came back from the Philippines and actually lived in a bungalow not bigger than our room that we lived in now for a few years.
Yeah.
Still haven't calculated how many years exactly, but like 3 to 5 years, I guess. It's rather 5, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. And so that's why we thought, well, I mean, we don't really miss more space. We're just going to continue living in that kind of space. In Germany,
yeah. And so we when we came back to Germany, we started this experiment. We like did a whole makeover of our room. So we have an elevated bed, so we
should do a room tour sometime.
So we can really like walk underneath it, and we have a table underneath the
Actually,
bed.
this one here, as you can see, it's also kind of a bed, which is where our flatmates, it was always a different one. That's why I say plural, where they slept then.
Yeah, so we made everything like suitable for us to live in one room and share our flat with another person. And since yesterday, this person moved out because we actually found out, this is coming up again.
Das habe ich online zur Exik 0 okay gefunden. Guck.
No, we don't want that.
We found out that we actually need the space like over a longer time due to just like working reasons, because of the circumstances, because of the virus and
and like working situation and so on. We just need
like home office. Let's say home office. That makes it clearer.
Yes,
because we both have to work in that room, and then everyone has to make noises, and it's not working long term.
Yeah, and so the idea or the experiment went really well. We came along really nicely, and so
you mean us or the flatmate and us?
Both.
And
the outcome was that we're probably able to live in a tiny house.
Absolutely.
And we also know from like friends of ours, and so everyone basically say, well, that's crazy, I couldn't do it. You guys, like, how do you do it? And the reason why we tell it is that it's not like the whole experiment was like very accepted by everyone, like in our friendship circle, family, and so on. And there's nothing wrong with doing this. Exactly. But, and this is a big but.
Not a but a but.
But, just a single T at the end.
Oh man.
The big thing is that for you, there was a second motivation for doing the experiment, right?
Yes. How do you know? Are you going to tell us? Don't forget to ask your questions if you have any. For those who joined, we are going to answer as many questions as possible. It would be really nice to have kind of the first questions in this English live stream. You can show us your interest by asking the question if you want us to keep these live streams going. Okay, so what was your question?
Back to the question.
Okay.
My question was, what was your second motivation for our experiment with the tiny house?
Yes, so I want to add to the first motivation that has always, like, over many years has developed as an ethical value of mine or worldview, like way to live that I really genuinely and authentically attracted to, which is just not needing much. Like, I was always someone who, like, I'm really happy not having a lot of things, which is, I really don't think that's the way to go for everyone, but just that's how I am wired. Genuinely, the real Miri. But, that's your but. I also, as you guys know, have had a restrictive eating disorder for a very long time, and that made it all mix with motivations of the eating disorder. This was one area of my life, of all of the other areas as well, where the eating disorder also had its power and executed its power without me realizing it for many years. But now I know that it was that way, and that was the whole mindset of the whole fear of not having enough, the whole mindset of we have to be as, I think you say frugal, like that means sparsam, I think, like just being as efficient with resources as possible, be it money or time or like, yeah, that's basically the biggest resources I can think of, because you can
food.
Yeah, exactly. But you can buy, true. Yes. But you can also buy food with money, and it's kind of intertwined, but just basically it can be anything. It can be really anything. And that was the motivation behind, like, it was eating disorder driven partly, even though it was an actual genuine value of mine. And that's the problem. It's kind of similar to the being vegan thing for me, which I always was at heart, always in the for the animals, the planet, all of this. Like, it really is part of my being. But the eating disorder also had its saying. Do you say that? It always just kind of, it just approved. It was pleased by this and made it just, it just was fed by me making these decisions. But over all those years, I was justifying it by, saying, and, it's true that it's my own values. So it was fine, period. And also the fact that it is very, not only accepted, but even approved and sometimes even worshipped in the society and by people. Like, wow, you're so disciplined. Like, wow, I wish I could save so much money so I could do this and that, and wow, that's amazing. And like, yes, it is a really great way to save money when you're paying half of the rent. Like, let's be honest. And it's also, I think, a smart decision in general. And we might do it again in the future. So, like, who knows? But the thing is, something can always become an obsession and also a compulsion. And for me, I very much trained, like, over all those years with a restrictive eating disorder and also struggling with anorexia. I basically trained my brain to be convinced that resources are scarce. Like, you call it the scarcity mindset or scarcity? I'm not sure.
Probably the difference between British and
exactly
American.
And that not only applies to food, but to all resources. And that's the problem, because as long as you have the scarcity mindset, anything you do to kind of outlive this conviction feeds the eating disorder. And if you want to get rid of the eating disorder, you do have to go ways which might go against your real values, against your real self. It might feel weird because, well, why should I not be vegan if in the future I want to be vegan anyway? Or why do I want to spend money here because in the future I want to, live minimalistic anyway? It's like, sometimes you have to do things. There's a saying, like, I don't know if you can even say it in English, but it's the purpose doesn't justify the means or the tools with which you get there. Kind of, I hope it makes sense, but I think you can say it that way. Like, even if you want to be or get to a certain way in the future, in order to get there and be free and without the eating disorder, you might have to go very different or even opposite ways in order to get rid of fears. And then you can go, you can be your real self, and you can do whatever you want once you're fully recovered. That's a really beautiful thing. But if you really want to be recovered, you cannot bullshit your way through until there. You know what I mean? I know it's yeah. I mean, I was one of those who really wanted to just kind of sneak my way, kind of take a detour, but it's not really working. There's a question coming in. Okay.
Rather a comment than a question.
I usually don't have time to see the lives before later, but really enjoyed watching these with both of you. Thank you so much, Ragnhild.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we really wish that people are able to ask questions live. If that's not going to be the case long term, then we're going to kind of find an alternative, or kind of, we don't know yet.
But since you're already watching and
Exactly.
you wrote a comment, maybe you also have a question, so feel free to ask it.
Yes.
And we can give it a try in answering.
Take the chance.
Take the chance.
Thank you for your support. Also, your support in general, your comments and everything. I appreciate it very much. I think you're from Denmark or Netherlands. I hope I remember right. Where were we? The scarcity mindset. It's also part of the, like, it's very, very well explained in the books of Tabitha Farrar, which for you guys it's not so relevant, but I'm translating her book. If you know German people, I'm going to long-term translate. That's the plan, all of her books, but starting with the kind of manual or recovery guide, the Rehabilitate, Recover, Rewire, which basically just explains how to recover in all detail. It's like 555, I guess, exactly pages. So it's a massive thing. Which it's just eye-opening, and it feels like it's describing so many open questions that I had in my life, and which is also a big part why I took the huge leap and step into real recovery. She's from Norway. Hi to Norway.
Close.
Yes. Yeah.
Close.
Kind of close. A little bit colder, right? Yeah.
But I think maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on the scarcity mindset. Not only because, like, there, as you said, it can like really like sneak into all different kinds of areas in your life. So we just uncovered one of them, which was like about
saving money.
But I'm sure there are many more, right?
What exactly do you want me to talk about now?
I don't know. That's a question to you.
Maybe what also happened yesterday is spontaneous socializing. It's actually also spending money now. Does it matter?
I mean, everything comes back down to spending money, because you can like buy everything, or everything has a value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, did I mention like the fear of not being efficient enough with things? Also with time, it's like you have to make the most out of everything.
Or use like clothes and other stuff like you own, like take stuff or whatever.
Or only take like tiniest amounts of anything. Yeah. Yeah, so let's go with the socializing from yesterday. It's something we both appreciate very, very much in our life now, especially since I started recovery, and it, in the beginning of the recovery, it was still connected and accompanied by a lot of fear. And yesterday, I just really noticed how, wow, it's not even with fear anymore. It's just, I can enjoy it. and it feels like a whole new life. And I think people also notice it, and that's also why you love it so much. In the beginning, it was you just pep talking me through the process. It's like, this is the life you want to live, so it's worth it. You can do it. It's like, oh, it feels so kind of normalish to be able to do it, but it's really not normal for us both. It feels really so special to us. So it was a birthday. We were eating out, brunching, and you're also going to see that in a week exactly in the What I Eat.
On Sunday.
Yeah. On Sunday? No. Yeah, on Sunday.
On
exactly.
Sunday.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
True. Yeah, it was kind of a fried cauliflower, hummus, tahini, pita thing, a huge one, and then also falafel. And I mean, it's fried and everything. And the reason I say this is, in the past, I used to order it like tailored to me, no oil please for me. And I'm kind of cringing at myself right now when I'm thinking of this, because I feel so sorry for the waiter or the waitress and everything who had to listen to it, just because I was so afraid of not having the perfect healthy food in my eyes then, or in the eating disorder's eyes. And so it's just so special to just take something from the menu just as it is, and not change anything about it, and also order a drink with it, a beverage, which I didn't do for a long time, because saving money, that's another €3 you will have to be able to gonna live a dream you want to live, because every euro counts. And yes, in general, you can see it that way, but it was always fear driven, not coming from freedom. And it felt like I had to, because otherwise I would become anxious. I also remember we had a lot of moments in general where you decided to spend even €1, like buy a watermelon or whatever, or which was not. No, I
those times where you could still buy a watermelon in Germany for €1.
No, it was actually in the Philippines, and I don't even know exactly right now, but we kind of had not a huge one, but had different opinions about it. I was like, no, why did you do that? And why was it even a problem for me? It's just €1. Who even cares? Well, I did care a lot. Too much.
And I think in general, one could, or one should ask yourself the question, the decision I'm making now, is it what's the outcome in the long run? Will it benefit my mental state in the long run? Yes or no?
A good point.
And so if the answer is, I don't know, or the answer is yes, or the answer is no, it really, you have to really be honest to yourself and try to differentiate between the decision in the moment and what's in it just in the moment or the next 1-2 minutes, and what's in it in the long run, talking tomorrow, 2 weeks, 1 month, 1 year plus.
And take all of the health aspects into consideration, mental and physical and spiritual. It's health is not so simple. It has very many pillars which it stands on. And the thing is also, you have to kind of look at it. You have to ask yourself, is this increasing my life quality? You have to ask this your younger self, I would say, the one who was not in an eating disorder yet. What is the genuine me? You have to kind of uncover it, all of the sag mal nochmal, Schichten. Layers, exactly. The layers, uncover this genuine self. You still are, but it's so many times just hidden under and kind of silenced under the eating disorder. And it just takes some time to get used to it, to kind of know in every moment what is the real self and what is actually the eating disorder also talking into the situation.
I think there's, if you look at it like an onion, and in the core, in the center of the onion, it's the real you. And just layer by layer around it, those are the like the fears of the eating disorders, the lies,
the ones you make you cry.
And like, if you really want to get to the right answer, you have to like peel off those layers. Like, get rid of the lies of the eating disorder and the fears you developed through the years, and just peel them off, and suddenly or eventually you will end up having just the original you, and like all the rest, all the other layers which came on top of it are gone now. And I think that's really important, to not only superficially like look at things, but really drill down to the deep stuff. Because in general, I think it's so easy to just like scratch the surface of things and say, well, that's not for me, or I can't do it because X, Y, Z. But yeah, as you said, those are most often just lies or fears you developed. And so you have to get rid of these, and really listen to your, as you call it, your younger you. Again, Siri came up.
Call Juliane. Do not call my grandma.
No, we don't want Siri. I think I have to
deactivate her.
Yeah.
Dismiss. Yes, and it is. I want to say it gets easier. Like it. These are things you can talk to, for example, with a therapist or anyone else you trust. You go through these things yourself, and it's all fine and well and good. But the thing is, I know for me, it got better just parallel to doing recovery with the food first approach, like extreme hunger, just eat. And it just, the biological, physical cause behind anorexia is very strong in my case. And I personally believe that it is the case in very many cases, maybe not only, but to a very high degree. And the more your brain knows we're not in a famine anymore, food is not scarce, the more it also changed for me. Like the mindset about other resources changed. I got looser, I got more relaxed, more like, I still feel that my brain is used to going these kind of ways, but they are so much looser, and I'm able now to say, well, okay, thank you. You have had your reasons why you have built up this conviction and this belief, but now it's not serving me anymore. And I'm trying to actually teach you a different way of thinking by the opposite action. I am actually buying this thing now. I am actually going out, and I am actually also buying that beverage, or like, and it doesn't really matter how much your income is. You can do that in any kind of way, and even the tiniest differences make a difference.
It's not about the total amount.
Exactly. It's just about the action. And yes, I noticed very much, and I didn't think that would be the case, but it was the case in me, that the food first approach, just by eating and really doing the opposite and doing real recovery, it did start to solve all the other areas as well, which is really good news, I would say. Which in some cases might also mean that there's even no need at all for psychological therapy or something. If anyone needs help, I think it's always important to get it in any way. But I think it's just important to know that sometimes, I think food is, in general, eating the food and the fear food, doing the opposite thing of what the eating disorder wants you to do, is so much more powerful than you can imagine now. There's a reason why you're so afraid of it. There's a reason why the eating disorder is so afraid of it. It's because it's so powerful. And so that it was just a real big eye-opener for me to know that this fear of not having enough, or fear of losing things, or fear of just falling short is very connected. Or I would even say, in my personal case, caused by the eating disorder. It only started with when I developed anorexia when I was 13. That is when I kind of had this drive started, that I was thinking, well, if I save my, Taschengeld?
Pocket money.
Is it pocket money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If I save my pocket money here, like this €1, I will have it for later, so I can travel after high school. And it's like, I didn't realize it at that point, but that's very obsessive for a teenager. And some might think, well, that's the way to go. That's like really honorable. Wow, it's such a discipline for the teenager, but
maybe too disciplined.
It was fear-driven and not really love. I didn't do it because I was free to do otherwise. I wasn't really free to do otherwise, right? But I wasn't seeing that at that time. And only now, after really getting into the migration theory, which I also talked about in today's What I Eat video. If you haven't watched it yet, watch it. It's basically, the migration theory, the book, the physical cause of anorexia explained, and in short. How did I start the sentence?
Probably at the beginning.
No, sag mal.
I don't know.
I can't remember right now. Where did I want to go? The migration theory is it just makes so much sense, because it explained all these other areas, and the scarcity mindset for me, which never was subject of therapy or the inpatient treatment, which is really sad, because here I am 18 years later, and it's the first thing that really changed something. And so that is why I think it's very important for more people to get to know this approach as well, which is the reason why I make the content. Ragnhild, if you're still here, feel free to ask away. Is there one last thought? I think if there's no other question coming in, then we are, hasn't been a question, but anything, last thing?
Do an exercise and try to listen to your inner you instead of the eating disorder.
Ask yourself, a good way to find out if it's the eating disorder or not is, would you do this thing, for example, exercise, or let's take going to the gym, for example. Would you do it if it made you gain weight? Or would you eat a specific thing if it, how do you reverse it then? Like if less calories made you gain weight, would you eat less calories? You know what I mean? The answer is probably no. Like for anyone who's struggling with a restrictive eating disorder, it would be no. That is how you're going to find out if it's eating disorder driven or not. Can we apply that to the fear of scarcity? Would you save the money if it made you lose the money? Like, it sounds off. But
basically, right now, I mean, there's almost no interest at the bank. So if you really save your money on a bank account, you basically lose it. So you should invest the money in order to get a value return which lasts longer. So
yeah, I think about the life you want to have been able to have lived. Is that proper English? When you are a grandma and kind of when you look back on your life, that is something that really, there was a question in the German live stream, that is something that really tipped me over the edge into real recovery, because I felt like if nothing changes, nothing changes. It really is that way. And if it hasn't changed for 18 years and nothing fundamentally changes now, it will just continue forever. And yeah, I think you can also ask yourself, that's also how you can find out if the life quality is enhanced by something or not. If you feel like, well, I've been saving my whole life now and I have this compulsion to use everything as efficiently as possible and to save as much money as possible and to be as frugal as possible and, be so disciplined, well, is it serving you? Is it serving you in a way that you will look back on your life and say, this is exactly how I think my life is spent the best way? If you have never lived in a moment and you could never kind of spoil yourself, do you say that? It's not really about the spoiling, it's about your ability and your freedom to live in the moment, just live a bit, how they say. And yeah, I don't know, I think that's also a good tip. Okay, let's end it here. Please let us know where you're coming from in the comments. You would really help us a lot. We will just have to see how we go on with these live streams or not. Yes. Okay, for now.
That's it.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks.
Ciao, ciao.